Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into what's arguably the most critical engine for sustainable business growth right now, customer success technology.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to really understand how top professionals are using analytics and automation to move beyond just managing customers.
And into actively reducing churn and driving massive and, predictable top-line growth.
This conversation couldn't be more timely.
I agree. For years, customer success was kind of seen as a cost center, right? Or maybe just a function to handle support tickets. That mindset is completely obsolete now. The data we reviewed shows that 77% of executives now expect their CS programs to drive as much as half of their top-line growth.
Half. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a rounding error.
Not at all.
That one statistic just completely reframes customer success. We're talking about net revenue retention, NRR, becoming like the primary metric driving company valuation, especially in SaaS.
Exactly. Retention isn't defensive anymore. It's an aggressive growth strategy. If you're retaining and expanding your current revenue base, you are just dramatically increasing your company's long-term value.
Okay, but here's the reality check. If the potential is that high, why isn't everyone achieving it?
That's the key question. The obstacle is complexity and data fragmentation.
Which brings us to the core problem that kept coming up in the research, these costly adoption gaps.
Yes. Think about it. In a growing company, customer data is scattered everywhere. It's in the CRM, billing, product logs, ticketing systems.
It's a mess.
It's a total mess. And when we look at why companies are struggling with those NRR targets, 34% of them cited missing platforms as a primary obstacle.
So critical things like engagement tracking or health scoring just fall through the cracks.
They fall right through the cracks because the systems just aren't talking to each other.
So we have this massive opportunity tied to retention, but it's being blocked by siloed data. So for this deep dive, we're going to unpack how modern integrated CS platforms can unify that data, connect everything from your billing system to product telemetry, and turn those vague risk signals.
But, this account seems a little too quiet feeling.
Exactly, and turn that into concrete, repeatable retention actions.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with that foundational piece, the unified platform. When we talk about a modern CS platform, what are we really centralizing?
You can think of it as the nervous system of the customer relationship. It centralizes all those scattered signals. So product usage data, customer feedback like surveys and support tickets, and financial info. So contract value, billing cycles, things like that.
And the platform's job is to stitch it all together.
To stitch it all together, create a continuous, real-time map of the customer journey. And then, this is the most important part, automate the repetitive work that usually bogs down customer success managers.
That level of centralization must be a huge shift for how reps operate. Let's dig into what has to be the most powerful feature, the customer 360 view.
It is transformative. Imagine a CSM preparing for a quarterly business review, a QBR.
Right.
Historically, they'd spend hours logging into the CRM for contract details, then the analytics platform for usage data, the support system for tickets.
Just pulling reports from everywhere.
Exactly. A unified platform brings that all together instantly. Product telemetry, contract terms, support history, recent feedback. The rep gets immediate context to drive a strategic, high-value conversation.
Instead of just wasting time gathering low-value facts.
Precisely. And without that unified data, your sophisticated health score is, it's basically built on guesswork.
It has to be.
It is. Platforms like PlanHat and Custify are built specifically to aggregate those different signals, product activity, login frequency, feature adoption, to feed these really sophisticated weighted health scores.
So that single source of truth is the first critical capability.
It is. It ensures every rep has the immediate context they need to act decisively.
Okay, so the second core capability then seems to be about accelerating success. Guided adoption and onboarding. How can software manage what's often a very human, high-touch process?
By operationalizing the checklist, really. Onboarding is such a high-risk time. If a user doesn't find value fast, they churn fast. So guided onboarding uses built-in checklists, in-app tours, and defined value milestones to push users toward that initial success very quickly. Think of it as standardized excellence.
So if a customer is stalling on, say, a specific integration task, the system doesn't wait for the CSM to notice. It can send an automated nudge or a link to a help article.
Exactly. Automated nudges and progress tracking drastically cut the time to value. And that measurably lifts activation rates and prevents shelfware early on.
The quick win here seems to be just massive operational efficiency.
It is. You automate the high-volume, low-value manual steps, the data hunting, the routing, the initial check-ins, and you free up your skilled CSMs.
Which allows them to pivot from admin work to those strategic conversations that actually drive expansion.
That's the goal.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So if Section 1 was about collecting the data and creating that 360 view, Section 2 is about making that data intelligent. This is where we go from vague risk to concrete action.
Right. Analytics are the engine of repeatable retention. It turns that nebulous feeling of, this account seems risky, into a clear, prioritized to-do list for your team.
And to make it actionable, you have to define the risk signals. What are the ones that truly matter for intervention?
We're seeing 3 critical signals really highlighted across the board. First, the obvious one, usage drop-offs, and not just overall usage, but usage of your core sticky features.
Okay.
Second, license underutilization. This means the client paid for 50 seats, but only 10 are active.
That's a huge red flag.
Huge. It screams future downgrade risk. And third, stalled onboarding tasks. If they haven't hit a key milestone in the first 30 days, their chance of renewing just drops steeply.
So how do we combine those 3 signals into one actionable health score? A simple red, yellow, green system feels way too simplistic for this.
It absolutely is. The modern model is multidimensional and it's weighted. You have to blend leading indicators, so predictive things like adoption rates and time to value, with lagging indicators, the outcomes, like renewal status and sentiment from NPS or CSAT.
Could you give us a quick example of that weighting? How might a, say, 100-point health score break down?
Sure. Let's say an account is worth 100 points. You might assign 40% to usage and activity. Are they logging in? Are they using key features?
Got it.
Then you assign, say, 30% to sentiment. What were their last NPS scores? And the final 30% goes to contract health billing status, time until renewal.
And if they drop below a certain threshold, say 75 points, the score turns red.
Right. It turns red, and the system automatically flags why. Is it a usage problem or a sentiment problem? That specific flag is what drives the playbook.
That detailed approach, then, it must require a tailored intervention. You can't just send the same email to everyone.
Exactly. And that's why segmentation is so vital. You segment customers not just by contract size, but by role, industry, the complexity of their plan.
All these different dimensions.
All of them. And that allows you to tailor your automated triggers. So, for example, you can automate NPS surveys at key lifecycle milestones, after onboarding, after a big release. If a detractor responds, the system doesn't just sit there.
It immediately creates a red flag.
It creates a red flag and immediately routes that account into a save playbook.
And the impact there is significant. I think Gartner found that adopting these proactive motions is linked to a 9% lift in value enhancement.
Yeah, we're talking about real money being generated just by being timely and consistent.
And consistency is the key word there.
It is. Playbooks standardize the response to every common signal. If you see a usage drop, the playbook might trigger a 3-step workflow. First, an automated check on support tickets.
Yeah.
Second, an adoption nudge with some education. And third, if usage hasn't recovered in, say, 48 hours, a task for the CSM to prepare for a proactive call. This ensures everyone acts consistently at scale.
Let's pivot now to the tools themselves and look at the vendor landscape. If a listener is trying to solve a specific problem, how does this all map to an actual outcome? Let's start with onboarding accelerators.
On the high-volume self-service side, Intercom comes up a lot. It's really known for combining its AI help desk, proactive product tours, and its chatbot blend.
So that's great for scaling education and trimming ticket volume.
Exactly. It accelerates that initial adoption across hundreds or even thousands of users.
But not all onboarding is like that. If you're a complex B2B enterprise dealing with, tailored implementations and integration complexity, you probably need a specialist.
That's where a platform like OnRamp is positioned. It moves way beyond simple checklists. It's built for those deep enterprise project rollouts. It offers template projects, branded portals, dynamic task logic.
So if task A is done, task B automatically goes to the integration specialist, not the CSM.
Precisely. It's vital for complex B2B setups with multiple stakeholders.
Now let's look at the churn prevention specialists, the tools that excel at running those recovery plays.
Churn Zero is a powerhouse here. Their strength is in really deep segmentation and orchestrating real-time journeys. They let you define extremely specific customer segments and trigger automated sequences based on minute-by-minute product activity.
So if the CFO hasn't logged in for 60 days, It can kick off a recovery play instantly.
Instantly. A complex, multi-channel play.
And what about for organizations that want to deploy proven programs quietly without building from scratch?
Yeah, that's where Dutango's Success BLOTs are really unique. They're essentially packaged template programs for things like first 90 days, churn risk, or expansion opportunity.
So it lets teams deploy sophisticated playbooks right out of the box.
Pretty much. Plus, they support those multidimensional health views we talked about, integrating adoption, sentiment, and usage factors very efficiently.
We mentioned foundational leaders like PlanHat and Custify earlier, the ones focused on centralizing the data.
Right, they do the heavy lifting of data unification. Custify, for example, is often cited for delivering a full customer 360 with, calculated metrics, robust automation, and a concierge onboarding process that gets clients live very quickly.
Sometimes in just a few weeks. That speed has to minimize the time you're waiting for ROI.
It really does.
Okay, now we get to the cutting edge. Intelligence in the workflow. SmartKeys is doing something interesting with augmented intelligence, or AI.
What's fascinating here is the move beyond just simple usage data. SmartKeys specifically features AI call sentiment analysis.
Wow. So when a rep has a conversation, even a recorded voice or chat, the AI assesses the emotional tone to calculate a sentiment score in real time.
In real time, the urgency, the language used, the emotion behind it.
That's a huge leap. Instead of relying on a post-call summary or just keywords, the system is prioritizing outreach based on emotional signals. But I have to ask, how reliable is that? Does it risk creating false positives if the AI, misinterprets someone's tone?
That is the exact challenge for this technology. The key is continuous validation and tuning. The AI needs human feedback to keep refining its models. But when it's done well, it dramatically helps triage.
So if an account has low usage and the AI tags a recent call as highly frustrated,
the system pushes that alert immediately to the top of the CSM's queue. It ensures the right rep prioritizes the right outreach based on a synthesis of both quantitative data and emotional signals.
And finally, let's touch on the voice of customer VOC platforms. How does something like InMoment's Active Listening Studio tie into this?
VOC tools like InMoment are crucial because they centralize all that cross-channel feedback surveys, chat logs, emails, and critically, they turn those responses into assigned workflow tasks. It closes the loop.
So if a customer leaves feedback about a bug, the system doesn't just store it.
It assigns a task directly to the product team or an engineering manager. When feedback becomes an actionable task, you move from just guessing what the customer needs to systematically fixing it.
So wrapping this all up, the strategic path forward seems pretty clear. If a listener is evaluating these tools, what are the measurable KPIs that should drive their decision?
You have to measure against business outcomes. So activation rates, onboarding completion percentages, time to value, and of course the big one, net revenue retention, NRR.
Those are the KPIs executives actually care about.
And they're the ones that directly justify the investment.
And before they commit, the source material really stressed the importance of the implementation test.
Absolutely vital. You need to run trials and demos, but, and this is crucial, use real customer data from your own organization, not the vendor's perfect demo data.
Right. You have to validate that their dashboards and playbooks actually map to your daily workflows.
Because if the platform requires you to radically change your team's process just to fit the software, that adoption gap will just shift internally.
And we noted that implementation speed plays directly into ROI.
It shortens time to value drastically. A system that takes 6 months to integrate is delaying your return. We see platforms like Custify with rapid onboarding finishing in weeks, or client success users reporting fast go-lives without a heavy admin lift.
That speed just gets you to actionable data faster.
It does.
And the advice for after you go live is great too. Maintaining momentum is key for that compound effect.
Yes. After you go live, don't just stop optimizing. Your next priorities have to be continuously validating that health model, tuning the weights we discussed, refining the playbooks, and rolling out executive dashboards immediately.
So leadership sees the impact and the improvements can compound quarter after quarter.
That's how you maintain momentum.
Which brings us to our final strategic thought for the listener who's planning their CS scale-up.
The choice, at the end of the day, is about strategic flexibility. The future of scaling customer success lies in picking a platform that not only standardizes your processes, but also allows you to phase enablement. Meaning you need standardized playbooks to handle scale, but the platform must also ensure reps have the freedom and the data context to personalize their outreach for each account, to move beyond a robotic transactional relationship.
So that balance between automation and human strategy is the difference between good retention and exceptional NRR growth.
That's it, exactly.
That is a powerful and very practical takeaway. If you're looking to transform retention from a reactive cost center into your primary growth engine, getting this unified visibility and automated action is, well, it's the indispensable first step.
Thank you for tuning in to this deep dive. We hope this roadmap helps you understand how to move your team from scattered data and reactive management to predictable, repeatable retention.
We appreciate you joining us for the SmartKeys podcast. To dive even deeper into the specific vendor breakdowns, pricing tiers, and compliance details we mentioned, you can find the link to the original resource in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe for more actionable insights every week. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.